another episode of the Minorities Report podcast. My name is Antonio Alcazar, and I'm here with
Jason Loctaro Gar, North Studios.
This week we watched a movie I'm not really sure why we watched. I'm actually not sure why we watched this one.
Warcraft.
We watched Warcraft, 2016's Warcraft.
This is a future cult classic film.
Okay, so let me talk to you a little bit about why we watched this movie.
Hit me with it.
Because I'm actually really looking forward to talking to you about this one. But,
Hell yeah.
But let's address why this happened.
Yep.
Because I need some clarity.
Yeah.
This show,
Yeah.
okay, Minorities Report,
Yes.
is a show in which we watch movies that if you were to quote the movie and I was like, I don't know, I've never watched that, you would be like, what?
Yeah.
That is the movies that we watch, right?
Mostly, yes.
Mostly. There have been, I'd say, arguably, this is the second movie that we've watched where it didn't super fit.
What is the other
three,
movie?
Maybe three.
What is the other movie?
The three that I would say kind of don't fit our thing is this one, 13 Assassins,
13. Yeah, okay.
and Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah.
These are the three movies where I was like, okay,
But
it's weird.
how do you feel about those first two movies?
The first two movies were phenomenal. But
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, are we sometimes just going to watch movies that you like that I haven't seen?
No. So here's the thing, right? Like, I think with Warcraft, I kind of bridged the gap a little bit.
It's a little weird.
There's a couple jumps here, okay? Star's one of the characters. I like bridges. You know that. I like to bridge movies to movies often.
Yeah.
That Clancy Brown bridges over to here.
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown's in this movie.
Who was he?
Black Hand.
Oh, he was Black Hand. Okay,
yes.
okay,
with the raptor shoulder pads.
Sure. He was the Keurig from the other movie that we watched.
He was the Kurgan from the other movie we watched. The amount of comments I got about you not being able to pronounce that dude's name was fucking great.
Pronounce
They were like,
Kurgan.
it's a Kurgan. How the fuck? So
For
that
those
was
of
one
you
of
who don't know, I have a Keurig machine right next to me, and I just thought that was hysterical.
He thought it was hysterical, but so I thought it was kind of funny. So Warcraft also to me is like a bridge, Warcraft, like a lot of the things we do are like classic things, right?
Sure, yeah.
Warcraft is one of the most classic video games at this point, in my opinion.
Okay. Sure.
It's a game where there's no way you didn't play it, and if you didn't,
I never played it.
see, that's just as shocking.
I played Warcraft, the RTS.
That's what I'm talking about.
Back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Warcraft 1.
Yeah, that's what this is based on.
Yeah, oh, okay, interesting. Because I never played Warcraft, World of Warcraft.
Right.
And I played Hearthstone a shit ton, which is interesting because I was like, oh, this is Gul'dan. I used his deck.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just to put perspective in, right? Yeah. When you watch this movie, right, that little baby at the end, the baby orc at the end, he's the war chief by the time of World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay.
So that tells you how big the gap is between these things.
Well, how long do they live?
The orcs, they're like humans, basically. Yeah. So, he's in his 30s or whatever.
I was going to say, they didn't seem like they had longevity or anything.
No.
Like that.
Yeah, they're
Except
30s, 40s and stuff like
that. Is Gul'dan immortal?
He is empowered by demons.
Sure, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, is that what the Fel is?
Yes.
Demon stuff?
The Fel is demon
magic.
Yes, exactly that.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
That's what warlocks use and things like that. They use the Fel. So.
And the Guardians, those are mages. They're not supposed, like wizards, they're not supposed to use the Fel?
You nailed it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And
they use a different magic source?
They use the arcane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So coming to this, basically, you played Warcraft RTS.
No. Warcraft RTS didn't have lore.
Yeah.
I played the multiplayer version or the map maker, so I didn't know any lore going into it. I knew that there was orcs. I knew that there were humans.
Yeah.
Hard stop there, right? Then, in 2016, I think, or 15, 16, probably 16, I started playing Hearthstone. And I played the fuck out of Hearthstone. But there's also not a lot of lore in Hearthstone. I recognize the name Gul'dan. I recognize the name Medivh. Because there's an alternate art mage deck that you can play with Medivh. And I think that's it.
There are a bunch of other characters that were in the movie that are cards too.
Yeah?
Yep.
That are cards, but not the class
Not the class,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the cards. But like,
Sure, because there was a part where they were like traveling, and there was a Murlock going, and I was just like, "That's a fucking Murlock!" Like I liked that.
Yeah.
But like that's it. I didn't have a ton of understanding about
Sure.
what was happening. The Warlock deck is Gul'dan, and so I recognized the evil wizard orc. You know, but apart from that, everything was new to me, and I'll tell you, it was a lot. This movie was just like, I don't care if you know. This is like Dune.
I was literally going to bring that up.
Yeah, this is like, if you know or don't know, that's not my business. Right. This is just the world.
Yeah. It was I was thinking about this as I watched it this time. I go, now I know how, like, I'm sure he knows how he knows how I feel watching Dune, and I know how he felt watching Dune at this point in time. So, all right, so we're going to jump into the actual film here. Sure, this was greenlit. I remember a few years back when it was greenlit, and they announced it at BlizzCon, and everybody was like...
Yeah, lost their fucking mind.
We were like...
Because if you go to BlizzCon, you're not just a fan of the franchise. If you go to BlizzCon, chances are... You are the fucking fan.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Gul'dan is like played by the character who voiced him in the video game and stuff like that. So like there was a lot of things to be helpful.
That actually makes sense, I think.
So we jump into this film and it gives you a little bit of world building right away. It's gonna like just kind of run you down
the tiniest bit.
Right, exactly. And then it's just
it was literally just like orcs fight humans.
Yep. And then we're going to show you. Right. We're going to show you.
Here's where it started. Yeah. That's it. That's the fucking info dump.
Pretty
There's
much.
Zero exposition.
Pretty much. So we meet Duratan right away and his wife Draka. Yeah. She's super pregnant and they're just like kind of talking about stuff and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And they're like, all right, we're gonna get going and whatnot. We got to leave this world.
Yeah.
And so they head off.
Yeah. He's just like, our world is dying.
Yep.
So that's a different dimension then.
It's different dimension.
Orcs are from a different dimension.
Yep. They are. Fuck. Now I'm going to look like a clown. Mm-hmm. What the fuck is that planet's name?
Oh, a different planet. Altogether.
Yes, it's a different planet completely.
Gotcha.
So,
right,
yes, absolutely. Because the planet they go to is Azeroth.
Okay.
So...
I didn't realize that there were different planets in the Warcraft universe.
Yeah.
That's a pretty expansive reach.
It's definitely, there's tons of different planes and planets and all kinds of different shit, man. So, cool. Yeah, you deal with space and all kinds of crazy shit in the video game.
That's way bigger than I expected.
Yes, absolutely. So, the rest of the orcs, they all get to this gathering. It's just like tons of different orcs, right? And
it's funny how, like, Blizzard has Warcraft and StarCraft?
Yeah.
And GW has Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah.
Like, that's like...
You do realize Blizzard was sued by Games Workshop successfully, right?
Successfully?
Yes.
That's funny.
Well, here's what happened. Yeah. At the last minute, Blizzard was like, all right, here's a bunch of money. And then they folded it, and then they were like, they completely ripped off their worlds. But here was the thing. So... Originally, Blizzard went to Games Workshop to make games for them.
I had heard this.
Yes. And at Games Workshop really was on the table, and they were like, yeah, and they're like, you just would have a little too much control of our IP, so we're gonna pass. And like, we know somebody that works in Games Workshop. I remember talking to him. He was like, that's the only mistake Games Workshop has ever made in their history.
Really?
But to not work with them. Because, I mean, right now there would be World of Warhammer being played rather than World of Warcraft.
Which would be,
I'd be playing.
Like, actually, when I was watching this, I was like, nothing has done more for me to get me to play a Warcraft game like this movie has.
Yeah.
This movie made me want to go, what is there to Warcraft?
So the orcs are there, and then Doomhammer, that's Duratan's right-hand man.
Oh, okay.
He's like naming off all the orc clans and shit.
Doomhammer, he's in the game.
Yep.
I've played as Doomhammer.
Doomhammer, the hammer is in the game because the hammer is the shaman's special weapon.
Oh, gotcha.
So they're talking and they're like, yes, they're naming off all the clans and stuff like that. And as a fan, I'm like...
Yeah, because you know all these clans.
Yeah, exactly, because you deal with all these clans. Yeah. There was one of the expansions called Warlords of Draenor. You go back... Draenor! Fuck, got it. All right. Yeah. Warlords of Draenor, you go back to this world before the orcs are corrupted and stuff like that. Okay. And you deal with all that kind of shit.
So what I learned from this movie was orcs aren't naturally green.
Correct, they're brown.
And Gul'dan made them green with the
fel
magic.
Corrupts them and then turns them green. Yep, absolutely. So We meet Blackhand and Gul'dan right away. Blackhand is the war chief, so he's like the one that kind of like can control all of them.
He's like the top general.
Yes.
And then the leader is Gul'dan.
So Gul'dan is like the one with the power.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say that. The other way around. Blackhand is the one with the power.
Like the authority.
No one will do anything without Blackhand being like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Gul'dan is the one controlling everything. Okay, and whatnot. And
because like, who could stop him?
Well, more importantly, it's like they keep winning with Gul'dan's help and shit. So they're able to conquer this entire world with Gul'dan's help.
But then the world starts getting corrupted.
Correct. Of course, because the demons are slowly corrupting them and whatnot. Interesting. So we meet a half-breed, an orc that looks very different than the rest of the orcs.
So that's Medivh's daughter, right?
So I think that's what they maybe weave into this, but that's not what it is.
In the movie, they really strongly implied that that's Medivh's daughter.
Sure. I don't remember exactly because so the one problem I have is like I know lore from 3 different angles, it's like I'm like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because sometimes when I talk about Game of Thrones, I'm like, yeah, that's
the books,
right.
Yes, but in the show, maybe not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought in the movie, don't they say that she's a half?
They keep calling her a half-breed. She's not orc. She's not human. That's what
I thought she was orc and Draenei though, but that could be the video game where she's orc and Draenei. In the movie,
they never say that.
Okay, because so. They have all those people locked up in cages. They don't really make mention to them or anything like that. Those are called Draenei. Those are people who were from a different plane that landed on Durotan. Okay. Or, I mean, on Draenor. So, yeah.
And then they get fucking
sucked in by Gul'dan. Sure. Gul'dan's like, we go to war, and fucking just sucks all them, opens the dark portal, and then you start rushing into the dark portal, man. And the orcs just fucking are like about that life, and they jump through the dark portal.
Kind of. He was just like, I want all of the strongest warriors, and then we'll come back for the rest. Yeah. And then the pregnant lady goes through?
Yeah. Because the Frost Wolves, that clan, is a strong clan. So they want Durotan and Doomhammer for sure, and then Durotan's not going without his wife when she's pregnant. So
Durotan and Doomhammer, by the way, are super characterized as like absolute beat sticks. Yeah. Like these dudes, when it comes time to actually have to fight, are whooping ass. Which was cool.
They're really strong. The Frost Wolves are a really strong clan. They come from like a winter area and shit like that. Sure. So they're very hardy and very fucking, resilient. So Durotan is very like hesitant to go through the portal though. He's kind of like, I don't know, man. You can see right off the bat that like the Frostwolves in general aren't as gun-ho as like a lot of the other orcs. They're just like, something's weird with all this shit going down.
Yeah, they're definitely less bloodlusty. Yeah. Because like right off the bat when they're destroying that one fucking town, they're just like, hey, are you guys not going to help? Yeah. And they're like, help with what?
Exactly.
Beating up fucking babies and women? Like what is the point of that? That's gross.
So they jump through the portal. Thrall is born. That's the little baby that gets born. Yeah. Later named Thrall. I don't remember what his name is in the movie and whatnot because he has a name before that.
Like Turan or something.
Yes, I just know him as Thrall because that's like his slave name. Because when he goes into, he's enslaved later on by humans.
Is Thrall in the game?
Thrall is like, yes, he's the shaman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, really? He goes to be a shaman.
He's definitely like, most of the Frost Wolves. So the Frost Wolves in general are very keen to create shaman. Okay. Yeah. That control the elements and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Durotan specifically is not a shaman though. Okay. So that character is not a shaman. Yeah. Thrall grows up to be the most powerful shaman ever. Like in the game, he becomes fucking the Jesus of this world and shit like that. Like he saves the world multiple times through his sacrifices and shit like that. Yeah. It's very, he's definitely a character that if you're on the orc side, you love. If you're on the alliance side, you're kind of like cool too, because he's definitely like the Martin Luther King like orc, where he's like, we want peace.
Can coexist.
Right, exactly. And you live on those lands over there, we'll live in these lands over here. There'll be peace and prosperity for both sides. Sure. And there is like a long peace between both sides until one of the characters who we'll get to in this movie's son takes over and then takes him back to war. So, so then, the fucking title kicks in and whatnot. Yeah. Dude, I gotta tell you, so I went to the theater to this movie, right?
You've been playing World of Warcraft for a while
since came out. Year 2, so 2005.
Oh,
okay, so
you've been playing this game for 11 years.
11 years regularly. Yeah, yes, course, absolutely. Yeah. And so I owned a Doom. Still own a Doom hammer.
Yeah,
okay, so I went to the movie. I had my Doom hammer. I was all fucking dressed up and shit like that. I remember getting the ticket. The lady was like, "Do you need that?" And I was like, "My shaman weapon goes nowhere without me. I will always have it." And she's like,
"Did you actually say that?"
Yes. And she's like, "All right, go in," whatever, right? And so so it was. So I get into the theater.
She just rolled her fucking eyes.
I'm sure once I walked, she didn't want to get hit with a hammer, so in my face she didn't roll her eyes. As soon as I walked through, I'm sure she did. Me and 5 people were in this fucking theater, dude. I want to point that out. That was pretty great. So I pretty much had the theater myself. And man, this fucking kicks in, dude. I was like overwhelmed with joy.
Go opening night?
I did opening day. Yeah, absolutely.
Why was there so few people?
I went early, so there was probably not that many.
All right.
So yeah. All right, so we jump into the actual human side of things now. We meet Anduin Lothar. I think
Anduin Lothar.
Yes.
Is not the priest from the games.
No, that's Anduin Rin or some shit. Yes, Rin is his last name. Yep. Yeah, he is the descendant of the actual king in the movie. Oh, because that guy's name is King Rin, but I forgot his first name.
Interesting. Yep. Yeah. So because they called him Anduin, and I'm just like, I know Anduin. I'm gonna look up Anduin, and then it's just like, different last name.
Yep, absolutely.
Not that guy.
So we meet. We're in Iron Forge right now. Okay. That's the dwarf's stronghold or whatnot.
And he's like, hey, I made a gun.
Yep, exactly. And he's like, here's this gun or whatever. When they showed off, I don't know why, but when they showed off the dwarfs, I was so happy. I was like, fuck, man, this is so great.
Yeah.
This is so fucking
be honest,
great.
Genuinely, when I was watching this and they showed the dwarves, I was just like, what a fun world.
Yeah, I was like, I really wish that we had more, but whatever. So, so then he gets a message from the king, and he gets a message from Stormwind. He has to take off to go to Stormwind.
Yeah. So that's what they were just like. Oh, we found something. Fucking,
there was a dead dude. Yeah,
somebody got in our thing, and then. He goes there, sees the mage, and then what's his name?
Khadgar. And he sees he has the mark of the Kirin Tor on his hand.
What is the Kirin Tor?
That's the selective, superpowered mages. So, here's the thing. I get it. Okay, so there is...
Wait, there are mages that aren't part of the Kirin Tor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
But they're still trained through the Kirin Tor. Here's the thing, okay, I want to point out. All right.
Yeah.
I know a lot about Warcraft, okay? Yeah. There is way too much lore in Warcraft, okay? I know warriors, I know death knights, and I know hunters. Okay. I am not an expert in mage because
You never played a mage character?
I played a mage for a little while, but I played every character at least a little while, but there were storylines that developed the history of all the characters, and you met all these characters through time and shit like that. I never did that for most of the classes. I did it shaman, warrior, rogue, Death Knight, and Hunter. That's it. So I don't know everything there is to know about mages. I just know Khadgar for sure, and he's in the game too. Yeah. He's the guy who's a 2/2 and he split whenever you create a token or whatever. You create double of those tokens. If you remember that guy,
yeah.
So, and he's definitely a character that was hugely important later on in World of Warcraft as well. So, yeah, they find a dead guy, and the dead guy has a little bit of plume that comes out of his mouth or whatever, and he's like, oh, fuck, man.
A little poop comes out.
Exactly. And he's like, I gotta go talk to the king. This is a big deal.
He says, we need to talk to the Guardian.
Yes.
Because only the Guardian can actually explain this to you. And then he goes, well, the only way to talk to the Guardian is to get the king's approval.
Yep.
So then that's when they go to
They're heading to go to that shit. Okay, so they gotta meet with me. Right. They gotta meet with me, but only the king can send them there. So they head off to meet with the king. And this is where you point out, Murlock.
Yeah, the Murlock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, when that Murlock showed up, I was like, woo! Because it's such a throwaway thing, but they're all over World of Warcraft.
And it's a part of the world build.
Absolutely.
Because Murlocs are just running around all over the fucking place.
They're just these little creatures that
why wouldn't there be
where there's water?
Murlocs.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. We meet the king.
But I can see as a person who doesn't really know this shit.
Sure.
I'm more primed to like this shit.
Yeah.
Because I like a good world build.
Absolutely.
And I like a good fantasy. Mm-hmm. And so if you give me a good world build and a good fantasy, even if I'm not familiar with it, this is my shit. So I'll jump into it. I'll tussle in the mud. And I liked this little Murlock moment just because I was like the Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like, I know that shit.
Yeah.
But, like, I can see a general audience going into this movie and going, what in the fuck is happening? There was so much.
All of this happens in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, like even the mage guy.
Yeah,
like the way he's doing magic and shit like that. Like because as soon as he gets him, he like covers his mouth and like he has like half a spell in his hand, and I'm just like, this is a lot for somebody who doesn't know what the fuck is happening.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely. And it's like Dune, man. This movie was made for people who like World of Warcraft or Warcraft, and that is it.
And that's it. Like,
yes.
If you get it, cool for you. If you don't, I'm sorry, man. This is not for you.
Better wait for the next movie or the movie after that. Yeah, exactly. So we meet the king, and we learn a little bit about the Fel Power. And he's like, okay, you're going to have to go talk to the Guardian. Here's my ring. Go do your thing or whatever. And they're like, the Guardian is officially summoned. Mm-hmm. So Anduin and Khadgar fly off. And they jump...
A giant hippogriff.
On a hippogriff, yep. And they fly off there. We jump back over to the orcs, and they're discussing things. And this is when, like you point out, Duratan isn't happy with what's going on right now. He's like, dude, what the fuck are we doing?
Have you not noticed?
Yeah, exactly. Have you not noticed what happened in our world is now happening in this world, in these little lands that we've conquered? Yeah. Something's not right here.
We're just going to be jumping from land to land, just murdering and fucking... Like, we're never going to know peace. We're
exactly.
always going to be fucking dying.
Right, yeah. And they're starting to question why they're doing any of this shit here. Yeah. So, very interesting development for the orcs. Then we jump over and we get to Karazhan. Okay, so... They land on Karazhan. Yeah. It says Karazhan.
Yeah.
I screamed.
Yeah.
Karazhan is a big deal. Right. When I started playing the first game, I never did any raiding or anything like that, okay? I just did like some missions and I played around and stuff like that. First expansion comes out is called Burning Crusade. You actually go to the future version of this world, Draenor, okay, where it's completely corrupted. It's been taken over by demons, all this other shit. You got to go fight Illidan.
Yeah.
However, you have to come back to regular Azeroth, and you go to do your first raid. Your first raid is Karazhan, and it is like a ghost tower, basically. It's this tower with like ghosts running throughout it or whatever. There's a Medivh that's like an image of Medivh and stuff like that, and he's like fucking going crazy in his little like library and shit like that. You got to deal with him, and then in the end, at the like absolute top, there's like a demon that's taken over. So like getting to this tower was like awesome, and it was the first raid I did, and like the first time like I still have friends from this raid that are on my Facebook and stuff like that I talk to occasionally and shit. Yeah. So it's definitely like...
So you saw this and you were just like, oh my gosh, this is the fucking thing. Yeah.
This is the thing, man.
I was running around there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we meet Medivh, and Medivh is sculpting a nice golem for, a magical golem.
Yeah. It's his hobby.
Yeah. He's just doing his thing.
Because why wouldn't I be doing this?
And on this tower, and he kind of like talks about the tower a little bit, because when you're way up there, the arcane powers are at their strongest, and then he's able, like, making this golem would take forever usually, but because he's doing it up in his tower, it's getting done pretty quickly.
Yeah.
At the same time...
And then he looked over at the camera and he goes, this will be important later.
We jump over to Khadgar, and he's getting loose in the library. He's doing his thing, and he's like, discovering books and shit like that. And he sees a little bit of a spirit, and he's like,
there's a little ghosty in there.
Yeah, he's like, what's going on here? And then right before he figures out something, he's busted by Medivh.
Yeah.
And Medivh's
he still steals the book.
Yeah. But Medivh is like, ooh, you think you're taking over for my spot or whatever? And then he's like, no, I renounce my vows or whatnot, so I'm not going to become a guardian.
Is there supposed to only be one guardian?
Yeah, for sure.
And the people who go to that school will become
one is chosen to be the guardian or whatnot.
Yeah, because I just felt like they were really blaming him for that a lot. They were just like, well, you're up next. And like, why is he up next?
Because he's the chosen one.
Is he the chosen one? I never heard that throughout.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, it's just kind of brushed over that he was the next person in line to take over after Medivh can no longer do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
right, I never got that.
Yeah, I get you, man.
It was just a lot of just like, well, I'm still here and not, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why is there so much like antagonism there? Like, who is this guy?
True. So they're like, Medivh is like, what? The Fell? Oh, fuck. I gotta go talk to the king. Go outside, mage portal, bro. Oh, fuck, man. That shit is so great. Fucking,
yeah, I mean, it was cool. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you do that in game. You basically mages. So what you do is, as a mage, you get levels or whatnot.
Yeah.
You go to cities. You learn from mages there how to teleport to that city. Then when you get a gang together, you can open a portal, and then your dudes can go to that city.
And if you don't have a mage, you can't do that?
You can't do that.
That's
right.
cool.
Exactly.
I like that.
So in the old days of World of Warcraft, they made sure every character was very unique. So you needed every character to do things and shit like that. It was like a fucking D&D
Like there were
thing
just some things you could not do.
You could not do it unless you had that character. Certain buffs you could not get without a paladin or a druid or whatever because they were locked to that class.
Yeah.
As time went on, they homogenized things because they wanted more people to be able to play whatever they wanted to instead of...
You didn't want to not be able to teleport if you didn't have a fucking mage. So
right, things like that. So then you could buy scrolls from mages that were teleport scrolls and shit like that. So, yeah, absolutely. So... anyways, and they meet the king and they discuss things and they're just like, all right, here's what's going down, blah, blah, blah. They're like, okay, well, we're going to have to go start to deal with these orcs because they have the power of the Fell is touching them.
So they were just like, there's like giants, I guess. We haven't really encountered them. We don't know what the fuck they look like.
Yeah.
But we should go because we should find out what we're fighting, especially if they've got some like ugly magic like this shit.
Right. And so they head out and they go through they're like, they got the whole like retinue and they're going through the woods. And as they go through the woods, they pass a hearthstone. Now, this is another thing that's like the Murlock. It's like a stone in the background. It's got like some like, you're right, exactly. Yeah. So what this was back in the day, in the early days of World of Warcraft, when you wanted to go somewhere, like you wanted to go to Karazhan and you wanted to raid at Karazhan, what you would do is you would have 10 people in the raid, 2 people would head to the fucking Karazhan raid or whatever, and you would click on each person and you could summon them with the power of 2 people to that raid so they didn't actually have to travel. So what a lot of people would do is you would create alt characters and just leave them there. And then when it was raid night, you would first sign on to your alt character, get pulled into the thing, your 2 alt characters would start summoning, then you would log off, the alt character jump to your other character, and then you would get summoned to that stone too and whatnot. So yeah, just another thing that was like, love the touch. Yeah. So, and they're at every dungeon, basically, every dungeon back in the day. So they're getting through the woods, and the orcs attack, baby. They're fucking we finally get like a straight up fight between the orcs and the humans. Yeah. And they're getting loose, man. Motherfucking Black Hand throws a fucking horse across the way at him.
That fight was pretty cool. It really, I think it did a really great job of differentiating the real strength between an orc and a human, because those humans were getting smoked.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you know, if you were smart and you played around their big lumbering body, like some of the humans were doing an all right job, but most of the humans were just getting fucking stomped around.
Because they're just trying to go force against force, and that's not going to work when the guy's double your size and height and weight.
Triple your weight, probably.
Right, absolutely. And so fight's not going well until Medivh fucking lets loose a spell that sucks all the fell power out of the orcs. Now, I don't think this is a real thing. I don't remember this ever being in game or anything like that. Yeah. But he's able to do that, and it just like kills most of the entire orc crew. Yeah. And Black Hand's like, discretion is the better part of valor, and takes the fuck off. And Duratan, his Doomhammer, and there's one of their other Frostwolves, a Frostwolf hunter specifically, take off as well. Lothar takes off after them. Man, fucking love this scene. So they're running off, they're doing their thing or whatever, right? And this is a thing that you would only really know as like a World of Warcraft player, obviously. Yeah. Eventually, it gets down to just the guy riding the wolf and, you know, the king, or I mean, I keep calling him the king. Yeah, fucking, because he becomes the king later. But Lothar is on him. He eventually jumps off his horse, does a call pet, which is a thing you could do as a hunter where you would fucking call your pet from anywhere and the pet would attack. Yeah. Then they do like that. I just love that scene so much because it's like something straight out of the game, like something you would have done for sure. So definitely
like an actual like fighting mechanic.
Yes, a fighting mechanic that hunters could do before. It's not just the thing
you see in a cutscene.
Right.
You do this as a player.
You do that, exactly. Yeah. It was an actual button you would hit, and then like your pet would go attack whatever the fucking thing was that you were about to fight and shit. So, yeah, very, I loved it. I obviously loved this. So, however, of course, the human gets the better of him, and I think the horse gives him like a backwards kick or whatever, knocks him the fuck out. They take him prisoner, and of course, Garona is taken prisoner as well. So, they get locked up in the cage, and you have Lothar talking to Garona, because Garona can speak Common.
Yeah.
And the orc...
Wait, why can Gamora speak Common?
Because she's a half-breed, so she's able to talk multiple language.
Oh, okay.
So that's tied to the game, too, man. So, like... Okay. And I love this little thing, too, because in the game, that's how it was. Orcs, if you are orc... and you spoke Orcish, or you would learn other languages too. You could learn Tauren and all these other languages, but the languages of the Horde. Yeah. You could never learn the languages of the Alliance, though.
What would that change?
So what would happen is you could talk in general. You could yell at each other and stuff like that, right? But the letters would just come out like garbled nonsense and shit.
That's hysterical.
And but then you could figure out codes to talk shit to other players and stuff like that if you were smart. So you could say things very simple things like LOL I pwn you, LOL I pwn you, or whatever, right? If you're talking nonsense on your side, that's how it would come out on their side.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious to me. So then we jump over to back into the orc camp. Gul'dan judges Blackhand at this point, and he's like, "You're a failure, this and that, blah blah blah. Put your fucking hand that got blown off into the Fel Power."
Biggest, he's gonna die.
What do you mean?
This is what happens? He dies?
No,
he's giving his life to the Fel Power.
Yeah, basically he's gonna hand it over completely, and then Durotan's like, "No, fuck that," and he fucking steps in. So behind, when Gul'dan backs everybody down and he's like, "Ah!" and then the fucking Fel goes crazy and everyone's like, "Calm down."
Yeah.
And then Durotan's like, "Well, dude, they had a guy who just sucked the Fel Power out of everybody and killed everybody with one stroke. So this is problematic, dude." And
that's probably why he chopped off his hand, so that he wouldn't be infected with the Fel. Because it was just they've got a guy that'll just kill you.
Well, and more importantly, he knows that there's a problem there's something wrong with this Fel Power.
Sure, he already doesn't trust it.
Yes.
But now he trusts it even less.
Yes. And he's he doesn't want the War Chief to be corrupted by the Fel Power or whatever.
Because they have a lot of respect for this War Chief.
Right.
And it looks like the War Chief, for as bloodlusty as he is, has a lot of respect for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the Frostwolves are still a good clan that's been devoted or whatever. They just aren't willing to go all the way over to this Fel Power. And so in the background right behind him, you see Grom Hellscream. That's the dude with the long hair and he's got the big axe and shit. That is a character. That's another card that's in the Hearthstone. Grom Hellscream is the first legendary card for Warrior. Yeah. His son is the character that is the Warrior.
Okay.
Garrosh Hellscream. Sure. Yeah, he becomes the War Chief way down the line. So Medivh, then we jump over to Medivh speaking with Garona, and she kind of talks about what's going down, and she's like, the orcs do this, the orcs are that, and he turns around, you see he's missing, turns into a crow, flies away, baby. The queen
can mages do that in the game?
You get travel forms and shit like that. Oh, okay. So yeah. So when the queen goes to talk to Garona as well, and just kind of chats about things, and then Durotan and Doomhammer chat about more, and they're just like, "Look, dude, it's fucked up.
We should turn on Gul'dan.
We need to do something about this. We got to fucking stop Gul'dan, man." Yeah. Khadgar, Garona, and Anduin, they head out to do their fucking next mission that they're going to do. They have
which is we got to go see the portal.
Yes.
We need to find out
how they're coming through and everything else. Yeah. Because Khadgar is starting to be a little bit suspicious of what's going down because of the news that he's gotten already. And they go to check out the new portal. Durotan shows up and he's like, "Hey, dude, I want to talk to your king or whatever. We're going to talk in where this one spot." When they then get to some fighting.
Yeah, because he goes, "I think we should stop Gul'dan. We should talk about it with your king. Bring him to the Black Rocket.
Yes.
Sun Up or whatever."
Yes. And we will help betray Gul'dan if he'll work with us. Yeah. So we get to some fighting now overhead. And the zoom ins on the areas of fighting. This is so cool to me because this is straight out of Warcraft. I don't know if you ever remember playing the RTSs, but you would have little skirmishes everywhere and you could zoom in and zoom out and the fighting and shit like that. Yeah. It's straight out of the video game, man. So, it gets better and better by the minute for me because it just ties to the video game so much. Medivh jumps back to the tower and he's like, I'm getting kind of weak here. And his assistant kind of helps him get some arcane energy back into him.
Yeah, because he lives next to a big pool of it, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the top of the tower.
Sure.
Yeah. So after Khadgar and all of them see what's going on, they head back to the meeting with the king. Yeah. The king is basically sat with all the characters from the Alliance. You got the elves, you got the dwarves. So
now, This looked silly.
Yeah.
The elves looked pretty fucking bad.
The elves, it definitely didn't look terrific. It's hard to pull that off in real life, in my opinion. I mean,
even the dwarves I was fine with.
Yeah.
But the elves, there was something so cheap about them.
Yeah,
and it's weird because, like, nothing in this movie looked cheap.
Yeah.
Like, the orcs, obviously, they put some fucking time into those orcs. And everything just kind of seemed very, like, true to form.
Yeah.
Whereas the elves, there was just something about it that looked like dollar store elves. They looked so bad.
Yeah, and they're like, they have the magic eyes and stuff like that because these elves, the high elves are like kind of corrupted by the arcane energy. So there's like 3 different types of elves in the world. There's like night elves, which are like foresty people and stuff like that. The high elves, and then the blood elves. And I think at this time, if I remember correctly, now, again, I don't know elves well because I played Horde all the time, which is the orcs and all the creatures. I think there was only 1 elves at this point in time, maybe, because they're like the high elves, and then from them split the blood elves who become Horde characters, I don't want to say bad guy. There's no bad guy, good guy, but they become that side. And then the night elves become Alliance, and they're touched by the light of a loon and this and that, the moon god and all that type of shit. So Lothar talks to the king about shit, but then we find out that his son is fucked up, so he's going to go see his son. Runs over there.
His son's not even really fucked up. Right. He's got a little gash on his head.
Medivh speaks with Khadgar and sees all the work that he's done. And he's not too happy with that shit. And he's like trying to tell Medivh, dude, the orcs were summoned here by something. Something's going on. Something called them to this plane. So it's not
and he's
on
just
their
like,
side.
this is my fucking business. This is not your business. Protect the king. Fuck off. And he burns everything in the fucking room.
Yeah. So were you like, oh, Medivh's a fucking evil fucker here?
No.
Okay. I thought they did a pretty good job of like trying to be like, what they're showing is Medivh is like, you could fucking fuck something up here by
when he said you don't know the things that I contend with, I was just like, okay. And to be completely honest,
sure,
I thought his servant guy was going to be the bad guy.
Sure.
Because what's his name? Kraken?
Who?
The wizard, the mage? Khadgar goes up to, what's his name? Aragorn? Lothar.
Yeah.
And he's just
Edwin
like,
Lothar.
hey, somebody on this side let him in.
Yeah.
So when he said somebody on this side let him in, I'm like, okay, we know who let him in. Like, we've met the character already. Yeah. So who is it, right?
Yeah. You thought it was Morose.
Yeah. I did not think it was Medivh. I thought it was Morose. I thought at some
Morose is his caretaker guy.
So. Yeah, his caretaker. Yeah. I thought it was that guy. I was like, oh, okay. So I wonder if that's going to be
You fight that guy's dead body when, like, the dead version of him in the
game?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
yeah, but I did not think it was Medivh yet.
Sure.
When he said you don't know the things that I contend with, I was just like, yeah, I mean, he's a pretty fucking crazy ass wizard, so like he's probably going through some shit.
Yeah, and like they do a good. I think they don't do a perfect job. I wish they would have done a little bit better job of like showing how the fell powers can corrupt people. So then, like you would think, it would more insinuate he's trying to protect Khadgar from falling to these fell powers and unleashing something that was. They should have done a little bit more with that, in my opinion. But yeah, it is what it is. So they only had like fucking hour, 45 minutes or 2 hours of this shit. So the orcs go to meet the humans and things are going pretty well for a while. They're just like discussing some shit and they're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. You guys are going to come fight at the dark portal. That's what the portal's called. And then when you guys fight with the dark portal, the Frost Wolves will kill Gul'dan, and then we'll end this war and we'll go back home and things can be peaceful again.
Oh, we won't go back home, but we'll go on our own.
Yeah.
Because our home is gone.
Yes, that's true. So, but Azeroth is a big land, and there's an entire another land that's not close to here. So we'll work that out later. Yeah. So, everything's going well, and then ambush, of course. And we find out Doomhammer betrayed Durotan, dude. And Durotan's not too happy about that shit. And things are going pretty poorly for the humans because all the orcs kind of come back in. Medivh kind of makes a magical barrier to stop the orcs from attacking him and help get the fucking king and everybody else out of there. But unfortunately, Lothar's son is caught on the other side, and in a fucking ridiculously 10-minute comical way, fucking his son gets killed by Blackhand.
Yeah.
A little, they could have cut a little bit of this and done something a little bit more important, but whatever. I guess it is what it is. It was very fucking cheesy.
Yeah.
I was pretty happy though. Because he kills him and throws him against the thing. As an orc player my entire life, I was like, fuck yeah, fuck those fucking disgusting humans. You know how, and here's the thing that's funny about this game, right? it's hard to explain to somebody who's never played the game, but because I've always played on PvP servers and shit like that, my entire, like, 15 years or whatever, I have been killed and ganked by like humans and night elves and these fucking creatures. Yeah. So you fucking hate them after a while.
You've been at war with them for 15 years.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been killing them and they've been killing me for fucking 15 years. Yeah. So to see one of them get killed on screen, I was like, fuck yes, by an orc on top of that. So at this point, the Frost Wolves are fucked because they're just like, yo, dude, you try to betray us.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I don't care if Gul'dan
honestly,
shit.
there was some respect there.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, yo, like, come on.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you know that you're a traitor now.
Yep.
But I'm going to give you the dignity of walking out of here by yourself. And I'm not going to fuck with your wife or your kid.
Yep.
Like, I thought that was like major respect.
Yeah, of course.
But that lasted all of 10 seconds.
Well, it's because, so he only controls the Blackrock clan of the orcs directly, okay? Sure. That's what Black Hand is in charge of, okay? So other clans of orcs are just going to be like, fuck the Frost Wolves. They fucking try to betray us and this and that. And then other clans go to try to fucking kill them all and stuff like that. Yeah. And as you see, it doesn't go so well for all those other orcs because Doomhammer and fucking them are...
fucks them up so good, dude. Doomhammer's a fucking beast.
Yeah, he's a badass, man. He becomes, so like, fast forward future, he becomes the war chief later on down the line and shit. So, Medivh has some scenes with Garona and kind of talks to her about what's going on and shit like that, and, you know, how important she can be and all this and that. And then with one of his last bits of power, he sends her away. Yeah. Gul'dan reveals at this point all the orcs are going to be gifted the Fel. Like, he's done with this bullshit, and he's like, everyone is eventually going to be corrupted by the Fel, so just get on board, man. It's gonna, because Doomhammer's talking to him about it, and he's just like, the Fel is great power. You don't understand it completely, but I'm going to show everybody. And then
he's just like, okay, don't do it yet. Just let me, you know, be in front of everybody, and then you can.
And then you can, right, exactly, do that. Let me take the Fel in front of everybody, and
so that they can trust you.
Yeah, they can trust.
But then
everybody.
He immediately like goes to kill all the fucking Frost.
Yeah, well, Doomhammer's like, just kidding, I'm not going to do that shit. Yeah. And he like fucking betrays Gul'dan that he already betrayed to Dan or whatever.
I just feel like that Gul'dan didn't give him any time. It was just like, okay, go do that. And then he was just like, okay, just kill all of them then.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, because he doesn't trust him still. So,
I guess, yeah.
Khadgar, we jump over to Khadgar, and he goes to Dalaran. Again, another hugely important city in the game, so that was really cool. Yeah. He goes to discuss shit with the super mages of the Kirin Tor. Mm-hmm. So they like, this is like the high council of mages, is what the Kirin Tor is and shit. Yeah. And he gains they're like, look, dude, go into this box, go talk to this lady, and, you know, you'll find out what's going down.
No, they get there, and he's just like, hey, this is happening, and the Guardian's probably a bad guy, and they're just like, what the fuck's the matter with you? Like, first you leave, and then you come back uninvited, and then you're just, like, talking shit about the Guardian.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, also, what's, like, this box?
Yep.
And they're just like, how do you know about that box?
Yeah.
And they're just like, I'll show you the box.
Right.
And they go into the back, and he's like, this is the box, and the box is just like, hey, come inside.
Yeah. And they're like, that's never happened before.
Yeah. This was so like, I don't know. Weird. Yeah. It was just like, this is just what's happening now. Yeah. There was no lead up to this.
No.
It was just like happening suddenly.
Yeah. Khadgar's got to let the super mages know what's going down. Yeah. So,
and then he walked into the thing, and it was
a woman-like thing.
Was this Glenn Close?
I don't know who the fuck this was.
I feel like this was like a big actor.
No, I don't think so. I don't think Glenn Close was in Warcraft. I could be wrong.
It was Glenn Close.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's an uncredited rogue. It was fucking Glenn Close, dude. That's crazy. That's what it looked like.
Sure,
it looked like Glenn Close. I was just like, how the fuck did they get this lady for this?
Got Glenn Close, I guess. So, yeah, that's fucking hilarious. So basically, she blesses him with a bunch of power.
Yeah.
And then just goes, boom.
Yeah. So, and she's just like, that was it. That's all I got. I was just waiting around for eons just to give you this little bit of power for this, and now I'm done.
Yep. Medivh, we just see Medivh interrupt the king. He's like, no, I don't think you should do that plan right there. I got a better plan.
Suddenly he shows back up, and he's just like, totally fine. He's totally great.
He's like, yo, hey, let's do this other thing instead. Doomhammer helps Durotan escape at this point in time. And he's like, all right, dude, you know, things aren't good right now, but, you know. And Durotan's like, I ain't going anywhere, man. We're going to fucking take care of some shit. So Anduin, he's like, dude, something's fucked with Medivh here. Medivh is full of shit. We need to fucking go fight this shit. And he's going off, gets arrested, thrown into the cell.
Yeah.
He's like,
they're like, hey,
fuck
go take
you.
a break. Go take a break.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to go
cell.
find out what's going on with the portal. You go take a breather.
Yes, exactly. In a cell. And he's like, hey, man, let me out of this cell. I'm all good now.
Yeah.
Just let me out, please. He's like, I can't let you out. Let me out of this cell! And then the fucking guy turns into a sheep.
Yeah.
Absolutely a thing you can do in game.
Oh,
it's called...
You can do that in Hearthstone, too.
Yeah, because you could sheep them. Yep, absolutely.
You can sheep them. There's nothing more annoying than getting sheeped.
Yeah. It's very annoying in the video game, too, man. So, yeah, it's definitely annoying shit. So... We see Draka.
Yeah.
No?
Then he's just like, hey, no, because he throws on the gauntlet. He's just like, I'm going to fight Gul'dan.
Wait, no. Before that happens, Draka gets away. She actually runs out of the thing. Yeah. She's got Thrall with her. Yeah. She gets Thrall to the water, lets him go down the water, and then the orc shows up. They kill each other, basically. While she dies, she sees Thrall's safe and down the way. Yeah. And this is when Durtan's like, I've come to challenge Gul'dan to Makra, or whatnot. And then, at first, Blackhand's like, do you want me to just fucking kill this guy? And Gul'dan's like, no, of course not. I'm going to fucking do it or whatnot.
Yeah. And then he goes Master Roshi on his ass.
Durtan starts beating the shit out of Gul'dan.
Kind of. But Gul'dan, takes off his robe, and it turns out he's not some little dude.
No. He's still an orc.
He's fucking jacked.
Yeah, he's still an orc,
I don't know about beat the shit out of him. They're going toe-to-toe.
They're going toe-to-toe, but then, and eventually he grabs him.
Which I loved, because I did not see Gul'dan as this kind of character.
No, for sure.
All of a sudden, Gul'dan is, throwing fists. I was like, fuck, dude, he's catching those hands.
But you see, if you watch it, he is Durtan's getting the better of him, and then his eyes grow green, and that's when he starts being able to fight back, because he's getting repowered by the Fel and getting his strength from the Fel and shit. And Durtan is getting the better of him at one point in time, and then he's just like,
but it's also just
this.
taking a while.
Yes.
Because that's the big problem, because all of a sudden, Medivh opens the portal.
Yes.
And he's just like, fuck, I don't have time for this shit.
Right.
So I'm just going to kill you.
Yes.
And then that's when everybody's
yes,
going,
because
hey, stop fucking doing that.
We see Medivh go full on Legion mode, because he jumps back to his tower and he's just like, sorry, Morose. And Morose gets killed, and then fucking turns into a full demon. That's what the demons are, like the Legion. That's what they're called in World of Warcraft.
So you can't play as a demon?
You can play as what's called a demon. So, all right. So there was a character called Illidan, okay? One of the main characters. Him and the Lich King are the two biggest characters from fucking World of Warcraft in general. Illidan was a mage whose brother is Malfarion. Mm-hmm. I'm sure, isn't he the druid character in? Okay, so his brother is. Illidan is in the video game, right? Yeah. So Illidan they were both two normal elves. Malfarion was blessed with the gift of the druid, and Illidan was blessed with the gift of arcane. So he was this awesome arcane mage or whatever. And then eventually the fucking demons attack or some shit like that, and he unleashes so much fucking energy that he becomes partially demon or some bullshit like that. Yeah. And so he then becomes half demon, half elf hunter of demons and shit. He's this extreme overlord. He goes to Outland to tear down the demons or whatever, tears down the demons, and then takes over as the new demon lord, basically. And he trains a bunch of elves that become Illidari, which are half elf, half demons that fight other demons.
And
you can play as one of those characters. Gotcha. Yes, exactly. It came way later, but it's absolutely. You can also play as a warlock who could summon demons and shit like that. So, yeah. So, as you point out, Gul'dan cheats, and he's just fuck this,
I'm just gonna eat your fucking.
I'm gonna fucking do this, right? Yeah. And you get a moment of everybody's
maybe we don't follow this guy.
I don't know about this bullshit, right? And because Doomhammer's
three people out of there, and does he kill Doomhammer?
Well, what happens is Doomhammer's are you gonna follow this fucking thing or whatever, right? And everyone's like, no, we're not, and then everyone starts turning away, but Gul'dan's fuck, we have to go now. And so he just kills three orcs right away. Yeah. And he's like, anyone else want to run away?
That's not what Doomhammer wasn't there.
Well, then, no. He kills three orcs. And then he's like, all right, let's get back to it. Oh, and you, War Chief, I'm fucking done. Because now at this point, he's just we're done with the little half stepping and shit like that. We're full on fucking mode now, and he fucking overpowers Black Hand with fell energy and creates the Black Hand that we see at towards the end of the Hulk version of Black Hand. So then we have just war breaks out everywhere. Basically, they're like, all right, here we go.
He opens up the thing. All the orcs get through.
Yep.
Big Marvel end of movie fight.
The Dark Portal. We fight at the Dark Portal, aka that's in the Blasted Lands.
Yeah.
And it's orcs versus humans there, and then also in Karazhan we've got Khadgar and Anduin fighting against
with the Golem
demon version. And Demon Medivh and whatchamacallit. So, and this is just like you point out, Marvel fucking,
big end of the movie, big third act fight scene.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going crazy and everything else. And Khadgar eventually defeats Medivh and through like crushing him with the golem and shit. And he banishes the demon from Medivh and brings him back to being a human. Medivh is like, fuck, dude. What did I do or whatever, right? Exactly. And he's very regretful of everything, and he helps the humans at the last second.
Switches the portal.
Right.
Opens it up to
Stormwind. Yep. And he's like, Stormwind. And then everyone starts running through Stormwind.
Sure.
And
but eventually it closes off.
Eventually, not everybody can get out. Right. And so Medivh blesses Khadgar, and he's like, look, it's now yours. Let's just go do your shit. And we jump over to the orcs, and Black Hand's like, I'm going to kill that fucking king, and then I will be the ultimate dude from here.
Yeah.
But he gets fucked over by Garona. Garona is, the king sacrifices himself to Garona to end this situation.
Gamora.
Yeah, sure.
Kills the king.
Yep.
With that little Gamora knife that Thanos gave her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Kills him with the King's Bane. That knife has a name.
Oh,
actually. Yeah. It's you can get it later as a rogue. So. So they're just like, all right. And there's a scene where like, it's awesome because like one of my favorite scenes in the movie, they're all fighting and shit. And one of the orcs picks up a human. He's just like, rah, and just cracks his neck and shit and throws the.
And he was like a guy.
He
was like one of the characters throughout the movie.
The black guy. That was throughout the movie and shit. And he just gets fucking murdered by an orc. So awesome, man. So now at this point, Garona killed the king. And Blade Fist and Grom. Blade Fist is another character. He's the dude with, like, obviously a blade for a fist.
Interesting.
Him and Grom throw up Garona like she's our champion now because she killed the king. She killed the highest person up there.
Of course.
And Gul'dan's like, all right, cool. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
I bless you with being, you're now a full orc. So you're down with us.
Yep.
Forget about that other shit. So Anduin shows up, though, and he's like, I'm going to do my shit. And he gets down and he's like, I'm taking the king with me. And I'm going to fight this guy off and fight that guy off. And he tries to get away. And Black Hand's just like, he ain't going anywhere, and throws his fucking griffin down to the ground.
Yeah.
And
then they fight.
And then it's Makara, right? Yeah. Exactly.
They have their Agni Kai.
Yep. They're what?
Agni Kai.
Yeah. Agni Kai. Exactly.
That's from Avatar, The Last Airbender. They have like their one-on-one fight to prove who's king or whatever.
Absolutely. And so, but it's like a Indiana Jones fight, and he quickly dispatches Black Hand by just chopping through his entire groin and balls, and he is
scrotum right open,
and then right through his heart, basically through the back, and he is fucking done.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, Human one, man. Human one, right? Yeah. You can get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And Gul'dan's like, nah, you kill him or whatever. And nobody will listen to Gul'dan at this
was
point.
Just like, hey, you gotta let him do it. Because otherwise we're gonna stop listening to you, and you don't want that either. So just fucking let him do it.
It's over.
And then Gul'dan's like, fine, and then he walks away.
Well, just it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
And Human won fairly. Doomhammer runs over to Durotan's body, rips his fucking tooth out. He's like, I'm gonna save this for you for Thrall.
Yeah.
Thrall will have this later. And we are done with the orcs. We jump over to Stormwind, and they're like, God bless the king. The king is dead. Long live the king. The new king is Lothar.
Uh-huh.
And Lothar's just
why him? Because he was the brother-in-law?
Yeah, pretty much.
They're just like, it may as well
for now, because
he doesn't have an heir yet.
Well, right? Rin doesn't have a son that's of age to be able to take over, so Lothar just has to.
He's the king regent.
He's the king regent for now. Yeah, he's not like the full-on king or anything like that. And then they formally form the alliance for Azeroth, for the alliance, and that's the end of the movie. And then Thrall is picked up by some humans, and he gives us a.
Sure. And you stood up and screamed.
I was like,
yeah.
I took off my headphones.
Yeah.
Now he's done.
Yeah.
I was like, we just watched Warcraft.
Sure, yeah.
We just watched everything I've done over the last many years.
Yeah.
So,
half your fucking life was spent in this world.
Few things about this movie.
Yeah. $300 million budget, $10 million intake. No, what was the actual?
All right, here we go with the numbers.
Yeah.
Right. $140 million in.
That's a lot of money, especially in 2016.
That's a decent amount of money.
Yeah, it's a little chunka.
United States, $47 million.
Okay.
So that's sad.
That's a serious loss of money.
Serious loss of money.
Yeah.
However, combined with worldwide, $500 million.
Oh wow!
So
this did really well outside of the States.
Insane in China. It was like $450 million worldwide, for like $50 million here.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it just fucking in like if I remember correctly, I think like 300 plus was from China alone.
Sure, wow.
Huge World of Warcraft community out there that still play World of Warcraft, even and shit like that. Highest grossing video game.
Movie ever.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Critic score, not kind of this.
Not kind.
But yeah. So what would your score be? Would you recommend Warcraft?
Sure. Okay. I'll tap it. Sure. Maybe not. Actually, this movie was okay. This movie had a lot of stuff I liked, but I had so much stuff I didn't like. So like this movie was a fun world. I'm gonna give that to you right off the bat. This world seemed lived in, and that was fun for me. I like the idea of being able to play around and experience a different world. And when it's done wrong, the only things that I'm thinking of are just like, none of this makes sense. This is all like, let me live in your fucking world if you're gonna make a world. This world seemed like it was lived in. There was so many nuances to it. There was a lot of like, not explanation, because this movie had shit for explanation, but it was so like complete, like from the Murlocs to the elves that were in it for all of 2 seconds to, like there was just like, this seemed like a place that actually existed, because there was so much stuff that was happening that you got like a sliver of, and it almost didn't seem important to the director. It was just like, well, this exists, so he's going to go there for a second, but it's not important to the story. He just is there. And so I liked that feeling of it. The world seemed immersive. I also really loved all of the orc stuff, all of it. The interactions that the orcs had with each other, the different opinions on what was happening, their backstory. I liked Gul'dan. I liked everything he was doing. He was such a bad guy, and I like that. If you're gonna have a bad guy, make him the worst guy. And this guy was like dog shit evil, and I loved that. There was a lot of special attention given to a lot of like little detail, and for a person who just loves being immersed by a different world, all the little detail paid off so well. Now, the things I didn't like, anything having to do with the humans. I hated all the humans. I hated all the human characters. I hated everything that has to do with them. I didn't like the human story. The orc story was really cool. The orc story was cool. There was a guy who corrupted them. He was kind of leading them. There was dissenting voices. They wanted a different kind of life. There was internal struggle. There was, like part of the clan, doing what's right. There was so much there that like felt nuanced and cool. Whereas with the humans, it was just like, they got to defend their world or whatever. And then there was a bullshit love story between Gamora and Aragorn that I thought was just the dumbest fucking story. I also wanted to like whatever his name is, Krakatoa, the mage. I wanted to like him, and he was so stupid. Like down to his stupid face. Like I just hated seeing him, and like I wanted to like him. If he would have been a cooler character, maybe just a tiny bit less oafish, I would have been like, that's a cool main character. I'm down for that guy. And I want to love wizards, because like that's my jam. The mage classes, wizard classes are always my fucking jam. And so when it was just some kind of like bumbling oaf, tripping over his words, I was like, I just can't stand you. And the Aragorn figure, Thorn, I fucking hated him. He seemed so skeevy the whole time. He was just so skeevy. He was like so like above it all in an arrogant way that was not charming at all. He was just kind of like a shitty dude who was just kind of an asshole all the time, and there was just nothing cool about him. And so, like, the king, I guess, was the most fine of all the humans, and even he just seemed kind of dumb. Medivh I wanted to like. I kind of did like Medivh. But he maybe was not played by the best actor. I think the role of Medivh was cool, and the shit he was getting himself into was cool. I just didn't believe the actor's portrayal of him. There was something a little too muted or flat about his performance. Not necessarily the character, but just the performance. So there was just half of the movie I didn't like. Half of the movie was the human side of it all, and half of the movie was just lame, and I couldn't connect with it in any way, and it just felt like it was poorly acted, and so I didn't like it. And so, like, this movie was a fun time. I actually don't regret having watched this movie. Do I recommend it? If you're a fan of World of Warcraft, hell yeah! This is an excellent representation of the intellectual property made film. So if you're into that already, yeah. If you haven't watched this movie, don't believe the naysayers. It's probably going to be way up your fucking alley. And also, if you like fantasy, watch this movie. It's a fun time. If somebody goes, "Hey, do you want to watch Warcraft?" Say yes. This is a fun fantasy movie. It's well built, and it'll definitely get you interested in World of Warcraft. As soon as I watched this movie, I was like, okay, maybe I'll look into play this game a little bit, because it was a cool place to be in. It just the history felt so real and so lived in. But as a movie, half the characters were stupid, and the non-orc side of things was so dumb and campy that it was such a fucking eye roll. And the orc stuff was legitimately cool. I was surprised, because I don't like orcs. Like as a species in any game that I've ever watched or played. Never liked the orcs. The orcs are always just like, like they're like tryhards.
Sure.
And in this movie, I didn't feel like that at all. I felt like they were the most relatable, most realistic aspects of the movie. The Mary Sue tryhards were the fucking humans, which yeah. It is what it is. The director who made this movie was probably a Horde player instead of an Alliance player. He's just I'm gonna make these guys look so fucking stupid. But yeah, what do you think, man? Did it hold up?
So, I've seen this movie a lot, obviously. I find myself almost agreeing with you completely. I feel like the orc stuff is amazing. I love everything about the orcs. One of the things, though, in my opinion, is this movie had $150 million, and realistically, it felt like it needed $200 million.
Yeah.
Like, it needed more money
and
for certain things.
And an extra hour.
Yes.
Give me one more hour of this so you can flesh everybody out.
What it feels like is the orc characters, like the voice actors and stuff like that, cared who they were.
That's what
the humans were the exact opposite.
When you said it's voiced by the original actor, and I said, "Oh, that makes sense," because
she's been playing Gul'dan, for a long time.
Like a real thing that existed.
And the thing that I talked to a friend of mine who's a big Warcraft guy about, and we agree completely on this. It's like, how do you make the orc characters that are CGI characters more believable and realistic than real fucking humans playing humans? But here's the thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I thought the king was fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought
the king was fine.
I thought Medivh was fine for the character he was playing, where he was kind of kooky, kind of like crazy, and slowly being corrupted.
Sure.
The rest suck. Yeah. That dude who played fucking Lothar, I hate that actor so fucking much. He's like in Vikings and a bunch of other shit. He's fucking awful, and I do not understand why people love that character so much. I felt like any person who was like, I was appalled by this character in the movie. I'm just like, what is he supposed to be doing? Like, this was like in the lore, this is like a super heroic character, okay? Like a paladin sort of character, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who is like the grand leader of the Alliance and shit like that. And I was like, this dude,
he was the fucking Fonz. I was so irritated by him.
I was like, this character is, if you had a rogue character, he plays the rogue.
Sure.
He plays the fucking rogue perfectly. Yeah. He does not play. Yeah, I was just like, he fucking sucked terribly.
Yeah.
Agree completely with Khadgar. How did this actor graduate mage school?
Dude.
This is not a mage. Yeah. Like, this is a fucking bard. Like you could have easily switched this guy with Jaskar in The Witcher, not missed a beat. Like, he could have been like, throw a coin to your Witcher. Perfect, right?
Yeah.
He's not a mage. Yeah. Like, atrocious. Mage are supposed to be like scholarly people. Like, oh man,
fucking like focused up and shit.
Absolutely.
Like, I really would have loved a more serious take on this character, even if he's like young.
Yeah.
Like if he was like Paul Atreides in the new Dune movie.
Got it.
Young.
Yep.
Clearly above, like in over his head.
In over his head.
But serious, trying to take himself seriously at least. I liked that.
Yeah.
And this character was kind of written to be like that.
Yeah.
A guy who was just like, there's something wrong here. I'm not super into it. I'm going to, kind of go my own way. I'm taking myself seriously.
Yep.
I'm trying to study. But the way that they presented him was such a bumbling idiot that I was just like, dude, I can't like him.
It's also funny you brought up Gamora because, like, Garona, like, if that actress wasn't cheap Zoe Deschanel or whatever, I don't know what it is. Like, I was like, this is straight up Gamora, but like the Walmart version of Gamora's character and shit like that. Like, just so terrible.
Dude, everything about her was pretty bad. Dude, you know what I would have liked?
Huh.
If she was a little CGI.
Yeah.
If she wasn't just a human painted.
Yeah.
If she was like
Gollum.
Like if she would have been If she would have been bigger than Thorn.
Sure.
A little stronger. Maybe not orc size.
Sure.
But like
half
beefy, like bigger and beefier. And her tusks just a tiny bit bigger.
Yeah.
I would have been like, this is more believable. Yeah. And a little bit more aggressive, But the way that they presented her was so just a human in paint that I was just like, this is Walmart brand shit right here.
Absolutely.
Everything else in your movie looks phenomenal. This looks like I did it for Halloween.
I felt like, too, though, like the human side of things felt like the way I would put this is like the orcs felt like these lived-in characters that were interesting on the screen. The humans felt like cosplayers.
Cosplay,
yeah, like they were a bunch of cosplayers,
because they weren't taking themselves seriously.
Right? Yeah,
there was a gravitas to the orcs. They believed it. They were living it.
Yeah.
They were so fucking passionate about everything that came out of their mouths. And the other guys were just like, "This is Sunday morning LARP."
and like, if you have actors who can't take the role seriously because they're like, I'm not going to be in this cartoonish shit, hire somebody else. There's plenty of fucking people who would have been like, I'm involved in a $150 million movie. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. Sign me the fuck up right now.
Or maybe they didn't pay him well. You know, maybe they just got bottom of the barrel actors. Because I haven't seen any of them in anything. You know? Like any of the orc side or the human side of things. What have they fucking ever been?
Yeah.
Like none of these people were like, I mean, they paid Glenn Close, take Glenn Close out and divvy that between the actors and the humans.
Because that could have been a nobody. You could have replaced that with a nobody.
Glenn Close there.
Right, exactly. So, anyways, but it is December.
It is December.
Is it? Fuck, man. I was feeling it yesterday when the snow hit a little bit.
It is the 1st of December.
I was just like, fuck, man. So you know what that means.
Oh, jeez.
Time to get into Christmas movies. Christmas movies. The first one we're going to go with. We got coming up for you, my man. I want you to go home.
Okay.
Go to a movie with your parents.
Oh, okay.
Have them killed.
What?
Put on a cape and cowl and join us as we cover Batman.
Oh, that's so fun. I actually have never watched this. That's so cool. Man, I totally forgot that was a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie, baby.
Don't go to your movie theater and have your parents killed. Jesus Christ.
For Azeroth, for the Alliance, Loktaro Gar, for the Horde.